Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine. Today, we are welcomed with IWC's own, the Lebanon Don, Joey Moses. How we doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is exciting.
Of course, exciting on this end. I know we've struggled getting this scheduled, but we finally got you here, and I'm excited to talk about, why you love wrestling.
All right, let's do it. Sounds good to me.
Before we get started with the questions, are there any social medias or anything like that you want to plug just to let the fans know where they can find you and find the what's happening next?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Instagram, that's probably the main part to find me. On Facebook, I have a Facebook page as well, just Lebanon Don Joey Moses on Facebook. But I want to make sure I give my correct Instagram name because it's too long. It's the underscore Lebanon underscore Don JM. So if you're looking for that. A couple shows coming up. We have one at FNW, which is a newer promotion here in Pittsburgh. So that's Thursday, the 27th of February. That's going to be in the south side of Pittsburgh, which is exciting. I have another show coming up for there's one Rise Wrestling out in Uniontown, PA. That's their tag team tournament, so that's exciting. And then Pit Fight is also having their charity show in Greensburg, PA as well. So I believe that is the if I get the date wrong. I apologize. I want to make sure I just give you the right date on that.
Of
The
course.
21st, Friday, March 21st. Yep. So a couple of good shows lined up.
Great. I love to hear it. It's always nice seeing you guys getting out there and getting as much work as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. Yeah,
Uh,
it's been good. The grass has been green for sure, which is good.
Seeing as how this is the I Love Wrestling podcast, it's only right to start with, when did you find wrestling and maybe fall in love with it?
Yeah. I think I definitely found it when I was like 12 or 13. I want to say it's around 12 or 13. So I have a younger brother. He's 2 years younger than me. And we had two friends that lived on our street. And we had finally just got like the advanced like cable package, like when you were like, so like you got all like the cool channels and everything. And one of the guys was a wrestling fan at the time, and he had told us like right when we got it that there was a wrestling pay-per-view coming on that we should check out. And I was like, okay, yeah, we'll just because we just wanted to buy something on the cable package, so we're just like, yeah, do it for. So we just do it, and it ends up being it was Armageddon 2003, the pay-per-view, and the main event was Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar versus Big Show for the WWE Championship. And then I think it was also John Cena versus The Undertaker was on that show as well.
I think so.
Um, and when those came on, man, we were just like just absolutely captivated. I couldn't believe like how big everyone was and just like they looked like superheroes. And then like doubling down to find out that Kurt Angle was from Pittsburgh, which I thought was like the coolest thing ever. Um, so it was just, and then like John Cena was like right at the beginning of his like Doctor Thugonomics, his gimmick there, and like I could tell you, my brother and I had like a collection of just like old school football jerseys and like Jordan sneakers. So like he just like connected with us on like such a level at that point, that we were just like, yeah, this was the coolest thing. And then from then on, just never missed a Raw, never missed a SmackDown, whether it was on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever it was at that point. So it was just, yeah. So from then on, like honestly, like 12 or 13, that was like we were in. I was in big time.
Was it like going back to them, was it something that you knew, hey, this is something I'm going to do when I grow up? Or was there ever plan Bs?
Oh yeah, I'll be honest, man. So as I continue to keep watching and watching, like I never realized like the storytelling aspect of it, that what was behind it, and that's what really got me going. Because I'll be like, I remember when Evolution turned on Randy Orton and they gave him the thumbs down and they beat the heck out of him like on TV, and I'm like, there's a full blown murder happening on TV right now. And like I couldn't tell you like the match that happened after that. I couldn't tell you, but like that story that like the Evolution takeover and then like turning on Randy after that, like I was just like so in and so captivated by that. But then come to find out like later on that there's a writing team that goes with this. There's like creators of the storytelling, and that's what really got me. That's what I really wanted to do at that point. I was like, this is so cool, because at the end of the day, like I knew I'm not 6'5". I'm not gonna be 300 pounds. I'm not gonna look like Batista, but like man, it'd be really cool to tell a story like that, which would be really cool, or help tell a story. So I ended up actually going to I was like, I want to be a writer for WWE. That was like my goal. I was like, I want to be in the creative side of this because this is just the coolest type of storytelling. So ended up going to film school, with hopes of like being on the creative side of WWE. So that was like my whole goal going through film school was going through, learning how to write, learning how to tell stories and on like whether it's comedic, whether it's drama. I've always been a film and TV buff. So like I like The Godfather and like Training Day and like little like gritty like crime stories like that. So I've always like been captivated by characters like that. So um, I wanted to pull all those together and like somehow be able to do it. So, but yeah, no, that's just I like that was always the plan for sure.
So, like, what ultimately made you decide to start training for in-ring competition?
So I went through college and then I actually interviewed with WWE right after I graduated, for a writer's assistant position. I didn't get it. They told me to get some more experience. So I was like, all right, let me go get some more experience. So I moved to LA for a little bit. I ended up working on Last Man Standing, the Tim Allen series, for a little bit, as an assistant. But when the show got canceled, I ended up as a assistant for a talent manager who at the time represented he represented sorry she represented Kevin Spacey at that time. So he was doing House of Cards season 3. So my big claim to fame was that I was the dog walkers for him as he was doing House of Cards season 3. Not the experience that I was hoping to get, but at the same time it was really cool. Um, but so I always still had the itch to do it. Like, I mean, when I lived there, I didn't have any cable. We just had internet at that point. That's when WWE Network came out. So I was still watching the product as much as I could and wanting to figure out how I can still get in there. Ended up moving back home and just continued to have the itch of like how can I do this? And all through the corporate jobs I've ever had, like I just was like, how do I got to figure out my way back in here. And that led to talking about what were talking a little bit earlier. I went to a Ring of Honor show, found out that one of the guys on the show, his name is Chris LaRusso, was doing a match on Ring of Honor, and I heard somebody talking behind me saying, "Oh, that's the guy from IWC."
Okay.
So I had no idea what IWC was at that time. So I was like, I have to figure out what this is. So look up IWC, realize it's this independent promotion here in Pittsburgh, and all the people that have come through it. And I was like, well, maybe this will help me kind of get through it. So I just said, screw it. I'm going to email them and just see what happens. Um, I didn't hear anything back, but at the same time, I was like, well, let me see if I actually like this first, before I actually just try training. So I ended up going to Houston, Texas for a weekend. So Booker T has a school in Texas, and part of that school he does a fantasy camp for people who like wanted like the tip of the iceberg of professional wrestling.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, well, let me sign up for this. So it was like $99. I go down and you do, I mean, you're in there, you're in his gym and you get to run the ropes and you take a body slam and, you're doing the exercises. And I'll be honest, it started with probably 30 of us. And this is 2015, 2015, yeah, 2015. And, it probably ends after all the exercises, after everything's done, it probably ends with like 7 of us left, like are able to like kind of go through the whole thing. Um, Not saying that my athletic ability is like anywhere near what it should be for professional wrestling, but like I did feel good about like being able to make it through that process. And so I was like, okay, I feel like I can do this. So that's what it kind of helped me spark to like kind of continue on and try to figure out how to train and kind of get my foot in that way to see like if this experience is something that I could kind of counter to make it that way.
So, like, after you're done with the camp, let's say with
Mhm.
Booker T, did you continue training down there, or did you start training with the IWC?
Yeah, so no, I came back up. So I was only in Houston for the weekend just to try giving that a shot to see,
Okay.
and then came back to Pittsburgh, and I was like, okay. So finally heard back from IWC. They gave me their tryout date. Had the tryout. It was cool because I ended up doing the tryout and going through training with. I feel like what like literally like the most athletic people you could possibly like. It was just like it was Zach Nystrom, Spencer Slade, um, Paris Sahara, who is incredibly athletic. Um, Xander Gabriel, who is like his like shockingly athletic,
He's
and
great.
so there's just like I feel like I was like, there's no way that I'm like anywhere near like the athletic abilities of these guys. So like that's where I kind of took my spin and like, okay, well, let me how I can create this character that can help me do that. And that's kind of where I took all my like my film and my TV love and like try to build this character that I think that could be different than, being able to do, moonsaults and things like that I knew that I for a fact that I couldn't do.
And that character, if correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the Lebanon Don character.
Correct. Yeah. So that's just a pull of everything as far as like I said, like The Godfather, Training Day, like Scarface, like everything that I could just, think of that like to take little traits from to build that character. That's all I've ever wanted to do with it.
Are there any wrestling inspirations?
Yeah, I mean, like I would say Ric Flair probably just for like how just like outgoing the character could be at times. So I feel like I there's always you have your moments of doing that, but like I definitely think like Ric Flair for sure. Between that, I'm trying to think who else like really sticks out to me. Scott Hall was one. I just thought he was so cool, man.
I was gonna
Even
say that's the
whether
first thing that I thought of when I saw it was Razor Ramon.
yeah, like him, yeah, either him as Razor or either him as Scott, like either one. I just feel like he was just so cool. Like there was just nothing that he couldn't do that wasn't cool. Like I just think so. It probably those two for sure.
Okay. Um, once you get done with training with the
Mhm.
IWC, like how are you feeling when you actually got to make that debut?
It was wild, man. It was crazy. Like I remember like being so nervous in my first match. Like they didn't tell the guy. So we wrestled. It was our debut show was a joint show with Chikara,
Hmm.
out in White Oak, and
Proving
they the
Ground 8, right?
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So the guy that I wrestled had a match earlier on in the show because they did like split the show into two. Like half of it was IWC, half was Chikara, and vice versa.
Okay.
So he wrestled in the first half, and he didn't know he was wrestling me in the second half until like literally intermission. So as somebody new, I'm like still the person that's like, okay, I'm trying to like, hopefully I remember. Hopefully I know how to do this because I like. There's a lot of people here. He doesn't know that I'm wrestling, so now we're like kind of going over the match. And he's like, okay, I didn't know, but here we go. And then I have to hit him with, oh, by the way, this is my first match ever. Um, so it was very nerve wracking, but he was super cool. We made it through the match. I won, which was like I didn't expect either. But I did pay the referee off, so that did help a little bit. But um, so man, it was cool, and I was just like, man, this was like walking out through the curtain for the first time. Like I'm in my gear, and like I smoked a cigar like through the entranceway, and I'm like, I mean, obviously you can't like smoke in a building, but I was just like, we're gonna go with it. So I smoked the cigar through the whole building as I'm going around. But man, it was so cool. It was so wild, and it was just like, this is okay. Let's just see where we can go with it. This is cool. So
Have you had many moments that you'd say top that? I've heard a lot of guys say that there's I don't want to say nothing like that first time, but like sometimes it can be hard to top it.
yeah, I think the only thing that I would be able to either top it or just like kind of go even with it was just that like so I recently had a an extra opportunity with AEW and it was during Bobby Lashley's debut and so we got the I got the I was part of the security and got to run out and like try to stop Bobby Lashley from killing Swerve and like that moment of just being like in front of that many people and like thinking about my 12, 13-year-old self watching Bobby Lashley and Umaga beat each other up and watching Bobby Lashley and John Cena beat each other up was such like a full circle moment for me in that point. Like this was so cool to be a part of that for however many seconds it was, but like it was like this is such a full circle thing for me, like to like even that. So like the debut was fun, but like also like if I could go back and tell my 12 and 13-year-old self, like, hey, you're going to do something pretty cool. It doesn't seem like it, but like to you, it's going to be really cool. That's would be the other one for sure.
I mean, it's got to be a dream working with Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP. Like
Yeah.
I can tell you, those are guys I looked up to, and to be in I met MVP one time. It was at a Blizzard Brawl,
Mhm.
in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
and I had to have been 18, 19 years old, but like maybe 17. But I walked up to him and I had the biggest grin. Like you would have thought I was 5 or 6 years old. biggest shit-eating grin on my
Yeah.
face. My dad's like, "You look like such a child," and I was like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
was." Like,
It's
I watched him
the
on TV go through the big blow-up thing.
hmm
Like, so I can only imagine what it's like.
Yeah, man, just to be right there. Honestly, like I get like you get thrown out of the ring by him and Shelton. I was just like, man, like this was so cool. It was just yeah, so like that was like such a full circle moment for me in that moment. So that was cool.
That's amazing. Um, Somebody you've been linked with throughout your career, especially
Mhm.
at the IWC, is
Mhm.
Tito. I don't want to butcher his last name.
Yeah, Orich. Tito Orich.
Orich.
Yep.
Tito Orich. How important would you say he is to your progression and maybe your evolution throughout your career so far?
Man, it's been like it was yeah, it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me in my career. I feel like you have this moment. I think for the first year I went through as the Lebanon Dawn in that character. You can only pay the referee off so many times and have these so many different types of like things that like you can get away with before like okay somebody's gonna beat you up because of this. So having Tito's been I've been with Tito since his debut. Like so he debuted in or he debuted in it was during COVID. So like IWC was doing the drive-in shows and he debuted, and I came out with him. We had the briefcase, we did the whole thing. So we've been to the link since he started, but it has added like so many legs to our characters and so many different avenues and so many different things that we could do together. That it's just been so much fun, man. I love working with him. I love the what he brings because like I mean, he's the muscle for sure, but like he can also go, man. He can go for. I mean, he wrestled Chris Masters for 20 some minutes in a main event like 3 years ago. Um, and he could just go, man. He's just been like he's always just been like ready to be that top guy. Like he's been right there. So it's been so much fun working with him, and like we play off each other so well, and it's just been like I mean we've been tag champs together twice now. And I mean, he does his own thing sometimes in Imagine. I'll do my own thing sometimes at 2PW, but like we'll still like we work together so many other times, and so it's so much fun to be able to just do things with him and share the journey with him. We've been to AEW together all the time, so I mean that's been fun too. So like, we're each other's bigger supporter for sure.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
I'm glad that you brought up Chris Masters, actually somebody I just had on the podcast.
Yes.
Um, what was it like for yourself and Tito to work with Masters and maybe get to pick his brain a little bit?
Man, that was really cool, man. I like so when we found out that that match was happening, it was cool for me because I got to cut the promo on Chris Masters. And again, this is me 13, 14, 15-year-old me thinking like I'm watching the Master Lock Challenge, man. I'm watching like all these Chris Master things. And I'm like, man, this is another full circle thing. You're just like get to do this. So that was so cool. But man, he was really cool to work with, man. He was super chill, super down to earth, like made things super easy. Which was awesome because there's a lot of pressure that comes with not just having the main event match, but having a main event match with a guy like Chris Masters, who has done so much in this business. Whether it's through WWE or NWA, like he's done so much. So like being able to just kind of like talk to him for like just that little bit of like, all right, do this because once you do this, we're gonna go. It's gonna happen this way. So like little things like that you pick up from guys like that, man. And it was just so cool. But he was, um, he was fun to work with. Like he played along with me for a second, like because I came out and offered $10,000 for the Master Lock Challenge for Tito to break the Master Lock Challenge, and he played along with that. So like again, little things like that 13-year-old me would have been like, oh, this is so cool. It would happen. So it was sweet.
Were you able to spend any time with him like afterwards and talk about how things went down or pick his brain at all?
We did, yeah. So after IWC usually there's like an after party, and he came and at the I'm sorry I can think of the carriage excuse me, the Carriage Inn restaurant that they have next close to the arena there, and um, sat with us afterward. Kind of just went over everything and just like was really big on Tito because Tito again he's a bigger guy and like he's got a look that like if he just makes a couple tweaks here and there like it's gonna go a little bit further. So like he was really cool and just telling Tito like here's what you guys can do here and here's what you guys can do with this like you know you guys have a look which is like we've been told that a couple times now and it's been um it's been really cool to hear that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, what can we do with it? People keep saying that, but what do we do with it? So it's been cool to pick his brain. It was cool to talk to him for, I mean, it was maybe 10, 15 minutes, but like still it was again, it was a really cool opportunity.
Definitely. I can agree. I was fortunate to have an hour with him, and
Yeah.
it was one of my favorite interviews. Like, just like I said, seeing somebody that I watched on TV, getting to
Yeah.
ask him about things I saw as a kid is just it's fun.
That's so cool. And he's a Lakers fan. I'm a Lakers fan. So that we clicked on that pretty quick. So that was cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
uh, Something I thought was really cool was your reign with the high stakes championship.
Yeah.
How did you feel, and like kind of what was going through your mind when you became champion, and maybe what was it like that journey carrying that title?
Yeah. That was fun, man. That was such a cool, again, that was another kind of COVID thing that forced us to be creative because, we weren't running shows too often, or a lot of shows in the area weren't running too often. So we had to try to keep the crowd kind of into it and kind of figure out like what different things that we could do. So when that idea came across, like, well, I mean, why don't we, I told T, I was like, why don't we just try to buy the high stakes title, and let's do it that way. And, working with RC and it culminating into a casket match. It was IWC's first and so far only casket match. That was fun, man. That was so cool. But then turning, the idea was that Tito wrestled and he gave me the belt and rightfully so because but man, that run was fun, man. Being able to kind of for the company to trust me to, carry that and, do the things with it that could, that hopefully nobody had done before, but to keep things interesting. Cause again, like you're in this COVID era of like, how do we, pump out content? How do you do that? So like, I did a whole series when COVID happened, the shutdown that like showed that my Lebanon Donker lost all his money during COVID. So like I did like an 8 episode, you know, down on my luck series that's on the IWC network that shows like my downfall after COVID. And then like my come up was Tito debuting. So like I came back when Tito debuted. So it was, so being able to create things like that and like do things with a high stakes title to keep it interesting. That was fun, man. I really enjoyed that run. I like to say I was like one of the longer, top 5 longest reigns, but it was fun, man. We had a good time with that, so I enjoyed that for sure.
Something fun like scrolling through your socials that I found.
Mhm.
It looks like you was eating steak on the high stakes championship.
Did
So I'm gonna ask, how do you like your steak?
I did medium, just a little, just
Medium?
yeah, medium, just a little pink,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm a medium rare guy, so I,
Okay,
I respect
yeah.
it.
Oh,
I
I
like
mean,
that.
yeah. I don't brown, nothing brown. I need it pink, or
Pink,
or
pink,
blonde.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's where all the flavor is. If you
Hmm.
cook out the
Yeah.
where, what are you
Hmm.
eating?
Literally, it's jerky at that point. Yeah.
Um, I know I spoke a little bit about him off camera.
Hmm.
A friend of the channel is Elijah Deans.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody who you've been in the ring with quite a bit, had a lot to do with inside the ring. What's your experience like been working with him?
Man, Elijah Dean has been like a very like key part as far as being able to work together and helps, he helps everybody, which is awesome. I mean, he's always been a great person to connect with, whether it's in the ring, out of the ring. He's very dedicated to the business, and it's something that, a lot of people need to just take advantage of him being there and being as dedicated as he is. But man, I've had some really fun times working with him. Tito and I did a couple things with him and Zach Nystrom as like as kind of a group, as kind of not a group, but like working together and doing promos together. And we did a series with like trying to help Anthony Young become big time when they were Team Big League. So that was fun working with him. But man, there he he's as creative as he's dedicated. But man, this guy, yeah, I don't nobody's gonna outwork him, and I think that's something to be appreciated. That like if you think that you're doing it right, he's doing it right 10 times more. So he's been fun to work with, and I hope we get a chance to continue to work together. I mean, I know we're some the places that we do work together aren't running right now, like 2PW. We I had a chance to do a match against him. I had a tag match against him. It was me and Preston Everest versus him and John McChesney. So that was cool. But I only got to work with him for a couple seconds in there. But like again, being able to mix it up with him because he's what every wrestler needs to look like on the end. He's exactly what if you're looking at an independent wrestler, he's exactly what you need to be. That's it. So, um,
He
Yeah, man,
He
he's been
definitely
fun.
looks like what I mean. When you type in pro wrestler, that's what pops up
Mhm.
is Elijah Dean.
Yep. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I give him all the credit in the world, man. Like I said, he's so dedicated to this and the business and building himself to be the business. So I man, I yeah, if I get a chance to ever work with him, man, I really enjoy it.
Definitely. You mentioned earlier that you've won the IWC Tag Team
Hmm.
Championships twice.
Twice,
Um,
yes. Mhm.
how did it feel to be able to capture those championships? And maybe if you had to pick, what was your favorite defense of those
Yeah.
championships?
So we won it twice. So the first time we bought them from the Hardys, which was
I did see
again,
that.
which was fun again because now I'm like again 13-year-old me, 14-year-old me watching version 1 Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy win the WWE championship at some point, like, you know, being able to weave us into a storyline with them was so cool. And like again, like to say that I bought the belts from the Hardys, which was awesome. So enjoyed that run. That culminated into a match because we were technically like we were like the disputed tag team champions at that point because nobody could prove we actually bought them versus TME, who had just won like in a fatal 4-way match. They were also the disputed, so we ended up culminating into an undisputed tag team title match, which to this day is still my favorite match of all time, just because like TME is like, I mean, how those guys don't have contracts yet is beyond me. Um, but like that's like when you're in a match with them, like it just feels like it's so big time. It's so like you have to be like on point. You have to like, like these guys are they're it. Like they are just like the it team, not just like in Pittsburgh, but like in the whole I would the whole like the whole area, everything. Just like they are like those are the guys you got to come prepared for. So like that match felt so big. Like Tito and I got like the vests. We had new vests going. Like I wanted to make sure we were like set for that match because that was my favorite match. And like we went. I think it was the semi main event or main event of that show. And um, man, I mean, it was just so fun working with them. I only got to work with them once, like just as us, because then we had it became a triple threat tag team match because Brotherly Love got inserted into the one the next month, and they ended up winning. But man, just going against Teamy was my favorite. Like that was just like it was just like that felt like the most pro big time match that you could have. So
Do you think we could see you with the tag straps maybe this year?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, Tito and I are doing a lot of work now with Rise Wrestling in Uniontown. So, um, you know, I'd like to say never, I mean, but like I will, if there's some tag titles to be had, I mean, why not? You know,
You're gonna wrap them up.
yeah, exactly. So why not?
Um, Something I did realize that you was a part of was the front line. Um,
Yes. Mhm.
what was your time like with them guys, and how did like the group come together? Things like that.
Yeah. So the front line was fun, man. So it was myself, Tito, and Cristiano Argento, who formerly known was Mambo Italiano, but as now goes as Cristiano Argento. That was fun, man. So Tito and I lost the belts, and I was like, we have to get them back. So we recruited um, Cristiano to come to work with us and help us get these belts back. But man, that's another guy like Cristiano Argento, man, being able to work with him, like he's on TV every week, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, NWA, AEW, like he's just like he's everywhere, and that's so cool just to like be able to like talk to him about his experiences and how he's doing it, what he's doing, and I mean like he had a match on NXT and like excuse me, he's just I mean he's another one that's just so dedicated to this business and being able to surround ourselves with people like him and him specifically, it helps us, man. It helps us become more ready. It helps us become as more TV ready and what to expect, like what everyone's looking for. Like he's another guy that just takes his business like so seriously and so much dedicated to it. So it was fun working with him, man. I really enjoyed it. Like we had some really fun matches. We had some really fun opportunities. I think we ended up they ended up losing the tag belts to Tommy Dreamer and Channing Decker after Teddy Long came out and made it a match. So we attacked Channing and Tommy Dreamer. Then Teddy Long comes out, makes it a match. Again, I'm going back to my 13-year-old self is freaking out because I'm watching Teddy Long be the general manager of SmackDown for how many years, and I've seen Tommy Dreamer, on ECW TV, like, so being able to like rub elbows with those guys and do things like that, man, like that was a huge culmination to that, and also the company trusting myself and Tito and Cristiano with that moment. So that was really cool.
Earlier you talked a little bit about you know, maybe trying to be a writer in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Something lately that WWE's been doing, especially for the independent scene, is the WWE ID system.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple guys from the IWC that's been ID'd. Um, is that something that you pay attention to, and maybe could have hopes that maybe the Don could be one of those ID talents?
Yeah, I do and I don't. I'll be honest with you. Like I'm at a point now where like if it doesn't happen, like I'm not it's okay. Like again, I feel like I've done more than I ever thought I would in this moment.
Okay.
But at the same time, like it'd be really cool. But like I would love it for more for guys like Tito and Cristiano and Elijah Dean, like those guys. I would love it for those guys because I think they're more right there than I think I ever would be. So at this point, I'm happy to be the supporter in that situation, but like at the same time, like it'd be really cool, but like I would be just as happy as if those guys got an opportunity to do it because um I like what I'm doing. I like the creative. If I can, I'm kind of venturing off into like writing my own short films and starting writing screenplays and starting getting into that side of things. And as much as I would love to continue to hang on to that, the wrestling side of it, I don't know how much more like is there beyond what I'm doing. I guess if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, with that said, we kind of just starting off for 2025.
Yeah.
Like, what's your goals for the rest of this year?
Goals would be I would love to win another tag team championship with Tito, wherever that may be. Um, I would love another opportunity to get on TV, whether it's with WWE or AEW or TNA. Just that experience, like, it's just like such a cool opportunity just to like be in that environment and see what it's like and kind of see like you have to, you get an idea of like, okay, this is what I have to do to get here, and you just kind of see it back there. So it's really cool. So another, opportunity to do that would be sweet. And then yeah, man, if I ever, I'd love to have another interview with WWE as a writer's assistant. That'd be my ultimate goal to like swing back around and be like, hey guys, I got all that experience you asked for the last 10 years, and so I know how to work a little bit. I can, I'm still writing. Like I know how, I feel like I could tell a much better story than I could have 10 years ago. So you know, love to give that interview a second shot.
Okay. Um, Before I let you go, I got one more question.
Yeah.
If you could have one dream match with anybody, we'll say dead or alive, who would that guy
Yeah.
be?
So this is such a I feel like this is going to be such a copy and paste answer, but my senior year yearbook, I put where it says where you see yourself in 10 years, and I wrote in there, I'm either writing scripts in Hollywood or I'm main eventing WrestleMania against John Cena in a steel cage match. So I would have to make that full circle moment to my 17, 18-year-old self and say we had that steel cage match at WrestleMania with John Cena. Like that would be it because that's the one that I wanted when I was so in and so in love with the business at that point. So like I'd have to do that favor to myself.
Who goes over?
Oh man, it's funny. So my brothers and I used to wrestle in like in our living rooms. I have two younger brothers and we would wrestle all the time, and I showed my younger brother how to do a stunner, right? So I showed him how to do a stone cold stunner. So we're wrestling and he's like 8 or 9, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do a first blood match. Not like that, didn't realize what we were getting ourselves into at that point. Um, so he ends up doing the stunner on me at this point, and I had no clue, wasn't really paying attention. I ended up biting my lip, and I ended up bleeding. So he technically won. So I don't know. I think that I don't know if I could let John go over based off that like I just unknowingly let my 8-year-old brother just go over on me. So I think John would have to help me out there at that point. So.
Is the Lebanon Don going to pay off the referee?
Yeah, dude, I'll back up a Brinks truck for that one for sure. Yeah, there'd be no,
Okay.
you have to.
Joey, I want to say thank you. This was amazing. If you ever want to come back on, maybe that little down the line, maybe we can do some catching up. I'd
Yeah,
love to have you back.
love to, man. I love you. Yeah, you got to meet Tito, man. We got to get you on with Tito, so it'll be fun.
Definitely, definitely. So maybe we can get both of you guys on here. I just
Yeah,
actually had Jamie and Xander on. Um,
what a nightmare that probably would. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, it was fun actually. It was really fun. Like I told you off camera, they're both kind of friends of the channel,
Yeah,
so
no,
that
that's
was a
awesome.
great time. I'd love to have you and Tito on here.
Yeah,
Tito even to dive into his stuff, and then both of you to dive in both of you guys' stuff. I think
yeah,
it'd be
man.
a great time.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely, man. Tito's got such an interesting background, man. I again, I'll put him over till the cows come home. But just he's got such an interesting background, such an interesting story growing up, man. So he'd be fun. But yeah, I'd love to do it with him, man. But love to be back, man. This was awesome. So thank you.
Definitely, we just have to set up a time and date.
Cool. Let's do it.
I'll leave this at see you later then.
All right, man. See you later. Thank you.